There is this major wall, which I will argue is absolutely unnecessary, that is barring people from the faith and driving people out of the faith. In fact, one of the reasons I'm passionate about this topic is because I, as a young Christian, I fell victim to this perception that Christianity and evolution theory and science were incompatible. I was saved, and I've shared this before, but it bears repeating, at the age of 17 in this fundamentalist Pentecostal church. And we were taught that everything in the Bible is literally true, including Genesis 1. In fact, our pastor, I remember once he had a sermon where he says, if Genesis 1 isn't literal, if those aren't literal days, then the whole Bible might as well be a book of lies. About a year after I got into this church, I went to the University of Minnesota, and the first class I took, actually I took it in the summer school before I entered the school full time, was a course in evolutionary biology. I wanted to get my science requirement met, and so I chose that course. And I chose it intentionally because I had read 3 whole books defending young earth creationism against evolution, anti-evolution books. And I had my ammo, I had my note cards. I was going to go into this class, yes, and I was going to refute that professor, and I was going to convert that class. Hallelujah. Didn't quite work out that way. God did use it to humble me greatly, but it didn't go the way I wanted it to. The first day of class, I raised an objection. Whenever I saw an opportunity, well, what about this? What about second law of thermodynamics? What about that? And this professor would very nicely, and that bugged me because I thought he would be evil and mean, but he would very nicely would just kind of carve me up, just 1, 2, 3. It was like, it didn't even take long. And the next day I'd have another zinger. He just, I was like throwing tomatoes to a swordsman. And he was real gracious about it. In fact, the kids started getting irritated with me. Will you shut up and let him talk? But he would defend me. Oh, I hated it. He would defend me. Oh, no, it's good to question things. That's how science goes forward, keep on doing it. I think he just enjoyed dicing me up. But see, here's the thing. After about a few weeks, I ran out of ammunition. And that means I began to suspect that the Bible was a whole book of lies. And by the time I got done with my first semester at the U, I had completely lost my faith. Not just because of that, but that was a major reason. Because I was convinced the evidence just seemed to suggest that there's some kind of process leading up to us. And the earth is much older than 10,000 years, and I couldn't deny that. Now, I wanted to believe. It wasn't like I was running away from God to hide some moral sin in my life or something. I was so hungry. I loved that year that I had my faith. Man, to have a purpose in life and a meaning, and you feel like you know the truth and you're going to live forever. Oh, I just love that. And to go back to being an atheist where you think life is meaningless, there's no purpose, death ends everything, it's just a sad story. I went through existential hell for about a year. It was just miserable. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Now, I obviously slowly worked my way back into the faith. I'm up here talking to you right now. And the kind of version I came back to was one that didn't see science or evolution as incompatible with the Christian faith, obviously. But see, most people don't work their way back to it. And I've had countless discussions with folks who have either walked away from the faith or won't give the faith serious consideration because they think it's incompatible with science, and more specifically with evolution theory. And so what I want to do today is simply open up space in our thinking. Whatever your personal views are, I want to open up space in our thinking as to how one might, for biblical reasons, I'm not even going to bring in the science stuff, but for biblical reasons, why one might think that Genesis 1 is not meant to be taken literally. I'll share my reasons why I don't think, on the basis of the Bible, why it shouldn't be taken as a literal, let alone scientific account. Now, I've never done this here, and sometimes people have asked me why, and here's why. Because I don't want to come across as trying to beat up young earth creationists. This isn't an anti-young earth creationist sermon, all right? I love you, young earth creationists. I've had discussions with you. You're thoughtful. You're reflective. That's great. No problems with that. But see, I would even like you to know the biblical reasons why someone might disagree with you, so that if you confront somebody for whom this is an issue getting into the faith, you're able to, even though you don't yourself believe this, show them an alternative way of looking at it. Because never should this be an obstacle to someone coming to Christ.